This is a question that will cross your mind if it has not already at some point in your lifetime. It's probably the most important question that'll cross your mind within this lifetime. But before we do that, I want to welcome you back to my channel, Life Student Academy, where we review content that inspires, informs, and helps us to grow spiritually so that we could thrive in all areas of our lives. Now, what's your purpose in life? Well, I'm certainly glad we're not the only ones who are asking this question and who is looking for our purpose in life, or rather allowing our purpose to find us. I love me a good TED Talks, and today's topic is Finding Your Life's Purpose with 3 Powerful Questions by Tyler Kearney. I'm so looking forward to this conversation, and as always, we want to make sure that we grab our handy dandy notebook and that we're taking notes so that we can study. This ain't Life Students Academy for nothing. We gotta write it down so that we have something to reference as we walk through our day-to-day intentions. And as always, if you hear something that resonates, don't forget to drop the gems in the comments. Let's be sure to share so that we can study together. Let's tune in.
Finding our life's purpose. Isn't that what we all want? Don't we want more meaning, significance, and purpose in our life? A lot of us will ask ourselves, why are we here? I'm here to tell you, instead of starting with our why, we should end with it. New York Times did a study that only 25% of Americans truly know their life's purpose. People are just wandering through life not knowing why they're here. There's people in this room. And this statistic blew my mind. And as I started to understand purpose, as I traveled around the world, it took me about 10 years to understand what my life's purpose was. And I wrote a book, and one of the graphs, Finding Our Life's Purpose. Isn't that what we all want? Don't we want more meaning, significance, and purpose in our life? A lot of us will ask ourselves, why are we here? I'm here to tell you, instead of starting with our why, we should end with it. New York Times did a study that only 25% of Americans truly know their life's purpose. People are just wandering through life not knowing why they're here. There's people in this room. And this statistic blew my mind. And as I started to understand purpose, as I traveled around the world, it took me about 10 years to understand what my life's purpose was. And I wrote a book, and one of the graphs, Finding Our Life's Purpose. Isn't that what we all want? Don't we want more meaning, significance, and purpose in our life? A lot of us will ask ourselves, why are we here? I'm here to tell you, instead of starting with our why, we should end with it. New York Times did a study that only 25% of Americans truly know their life's purpose. People are just wandering through life not knowing why they're here. There's people in this room. And this statistic blew my mind. And as I started to understand purpose, as I traveled around the world, it took me about 10 years to understand what my life's purpose was. And I wrote a book, and one of the graphs, Finding Our Life's Purpose. Isn't that what we all want? Don't we want more meaning, significance, and purpose in our life? A lot of us will ask ourselves, why are we here? I'm here to tell you, instead of starting with our why, we should end with it. New York Times did a study that only 25% of Americans truly know their life's purpose. People are just wandering through life not knowing why they're here. There's people in this room. And this statistic blew my mind. And as I started to understand purpose, I created in it is the cycle of unfulfilling purpose. And there's 4 steps. The first one is a transition. We all experience transitions in our life. It can happen in many forms. We can have a kid, we can get married, we graduate school, we can leave the sport that we thought we were going to be a professional at. Something traumatic could happen to us. A loved one could die. Something happens in our life that changes everything, leading us to the second step, which is confusion. Not knowing who we are anymore, not knowing what our next step, lacking clarity and lacking direction in our life. This could be depressing and unmotivating. And the scary part is This could last for days, maybe years, maybe decades, maybe even a lifetime for some individuals. Then there's the third step, that if we're able to get out of confusion, we're able to build momentum. We're able to create results in our life. We get crystal clarity on what it is that we need to do, and we think we found our life's purpose. We found the job, and purpose is the reason why we do what we do. So I could be going to this job, I could be working my way up, providing for my family, I could have purpose. But if I then come to the fourth step, which is unhappiness and lack of fulfillment, that's the ultimate failure. And I look up and I ask, is there more to life than this? When we need to step out of the cycle and find our life's purpose, because when we find our life's purpose, we have happiness and fulfillment, and we have a desire to want to do more and be more. Because finding purpose is actually easy, but living our life's purpose and having fulfillment is life-changing. So if we look at the word purpose, P-U-R, the prefix is used to set forth beforehand. It's also used in the word pure, so it's without blemish, the purest intention. And then pose is to suggest or intend. So purpose stands for the purest suggestion or intention that we set forth beforehand. So if we look at these chairs in this audience, the user can define the purpose, right? So some of you guys in the back are using it as a bed. You find the purpose there. I see you guys back there. Some of us use this purpose as an opportunity to learn and grow. And then some other people use that as an opportunity to rest our lower back and our knees, right? The purpose of the chair is defined by the user. But what about the creator of the chair, the invention? What was the purpose when the creator made the chair? And if the user's purpose is out of alignment with the creator's purpose, we're going to have unfulfillment and frustration. Right? If I try to use this chair as a bed and that's not what the purpose of the chair was from the creator, I'm going to struggle. Same thing with our life. Our life's purpose was already predetermined before we were made. It was set forth beforehand. This changed everything for me because I thought I had to create purpose. I thought I had to create my life's purpose. But our creator, the highest being with purest intentions, with no flaw, decided our purpose before we're even here on this earth. So you guys can decide if you want to use your purpose or the Creator's purpose in your life. Because the two most important days of our life are the day we find out why and the day we were born. One of my favorite quotes from Mark Twain. So our job is just to align ourselves with our Creator's purpose for ourselves.
Time out. Okay. Bars, y'all. I need to drop some bars for that. Mark Twain. All right. Yeah, Mark Twain has some of the best quotes ever. Listen up. The two most important days in your life. 1, the day that you were born. 2, the day that you find out why. Oh my God. I can't think of anything that's more important than those 2 things. In actuality, yeah. 2 most important days. And it's interesting because you might think that it's something else. Or we can build on that list, right? We can say that it's the day that our kids were born, or the day that we get married, or the day that we graduate, the day that you become whatever your lifelong goal was. But at the highest degree, you had to come in to life to even fulfill anything else to begin with. And that's pretty important. And anything else that follows that, like all of the mini goals are stepping stones to the main goal, which is why we're here, our purpose. That was amazing. Just, my mind was just blown. Excuse me. Back at it. Thank you, Tyler.
So the first question, instead of why am I here, we ask ourselves, who am I called to serve? Because when I step into a place of service, I immediately have significance, purpose, and meaning in my life. It shifts the conversation from you to who. It's not about me anymore. I think about who can I help and who can I serve. And the reason why I know this is because our Creator has designed us this way. So here's a photo of our brain. It lights up like a Christmas tree when we serve individuals. This is called the helper's high. There's a lot of research done on this. Your brain releases dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin. We feel incredible. It's also the same feeling that we have when we have sex, consume sugar, social media, substances like drugs and alcohol, and serving other people. All 5 of these are extremely addictive. You guys can decide which addiction you want to have. And the first 4 there are things that we do externally to serve ourselves, only ourselves. And the last one is something that has already been built within us internally that we can use to affect other people externally.
All right, one more again, because this is really important that you understand that to be in service to others is on the top 5 of Tyler's list of dopamines that gives us fulfillment: sex, sugar, social media, substances like drugs and alcohol. And then service is on there on the same list, y'all. Listen up. Being in service to others is a part of it, is our purpose. It's a part of our purpose. It is our purpose. And we are naturally fulfilled by it, just like the other things that was on that list. I just had to make sure that we emphasize that. That's important. Make sure you write that down. Service is a dopamine effect. It is the helper's high. Let's go.
So then the next question is, what problems am I called to solve? So who am I called to serve? Start with someone that you can relate to, that you have similar experiences with. And then the second problem is, the second question is, what problems am I called to solve? Because this is how we get paid. Now, who likes to get paid in here, right? Everyone. Because the problems that you solve are in direct correlation to the amount of money in your bank account. Because the bigger the problems, the bigger the solution. The smaller the problems, the smaller the solution. So start with someone that you can relate to, that you like working with, then figure out what problems do they have and what problems did you overcome in your life. And usually these can be found with traumatic experiences, life experiences that only you can talk about. I guarantee you there's someone else that has gone through the same situation and problem that you can help. And then the last question is, how am I called to solve this problem? And this is where you guys can get creative, because there's 1,000 different ways to solve one problem. And with technology, every single day a solution is being created. But this is the easiest part. Once we know who we're called to serve and what problems we're called to solve, the solution becomes very evident. And from a logistical and strategic standpoint, we want to create the most effective and efficient solution to the problem so we can help the most amount of people in the world. So, who am I called to serve? What problems am I called to solve? And how am I called to solve this problem? This is going to create our purpose statement. I help who? With their problem through the solution. So I help young adults and business owners that lack clarity and confidence and direction in their life by helping them find their life's purpose through live events, books, and presentations. And we've been doing that for the last several years. So I validate my purpose with my why. Then this is when we come with the question, why do we do what we do? Look at your purpose statement. Then you ask yourself, why do I do it? Am I doing it for myself? For selfish gain? Am I doing it because I genuinely care and want to help others? Or am I doing it because I want to serve my Creator? Because when we serve our Creator, and that's at the epicenter of our life, we're expressing the highest form of love, because that was what was expressed when we were created. And what's going to happen is you're going to have 3 indicators. You're going to have peace. Do you have peace with what you're doing with it? Because if I think I have purpose and I don't have peace, I have to realign myself. Second thing is, do I have passion? Do I actually enjoy what it is that I do? Because we're all designed with different strengths and abilities on this earth to enjoy different things. So am I excited? Do I look forward to the day ahead? Am I excited to do what I am doing right now? And the last thing is, are people willing to pay me for it? Because we're supposed to provide for our loved ones and be able to use money as a vehicle to help other people in great causes as well. So our life's purpose is to serve our Creator by serving others, specifically through your purpose statement. And you guys can fill in the blanks there. So start with the who, end with the why, and validate it with that. I look forward to serving the world together. Thank you.
That was super powerful. And in under 10 minutes, I'm really impressed, Tyler. First of all, before we get into those 3 questions, I really love that pie chart that Tyler had there. So we go through transitions in life, which we enter and exit out of certain phases of our lives. I like to call them chapters. One chapter starts and then it ends and then we move on to the next. A lot of times when we leave one phase of our life, it can get pretty confusing, especially because phases can last a long time, right? They're typically long-term, like think about school or maybe a job that you worked at for at least a year. When you exit out of these positions, it's kind of like you created this pattern, this habit. You've been doing this one thing for so long and you ask yourself, what am I to do now? So it could get pretty confusing and leave us unclear. But then we enter into a new phase. Typically, this is exciting or there's at least some new energy around it. So I like how Tyler called it momentum. This is a word that I like a lot. We start to build momentum after this inertia. And so it's kind of like stepping on a gas pedal, 5 miles per hour to 10 to 15 to 20. And then before you know it, you may reach a nice 70 or 80. But still, if we're not passionate and if we don't love what we're doing, then we're not fulfilled. So ultimately, even though we've just built this momentum into this new phase, we may still find ourselves in the phase of unhappiness. And a lot of people that I know currently are experiencing this. I've definitely experienced that myself. So I really appreciated Tyler touching on this topic before he went into anything else. Yo, the one that blew my mind, and drop some gems in the comments down below if you appreciated this statement. But Tyler says the 2 most important days in your life is the day that you were born and the day that you find out why. Yo, I was like, that is the 2 most important days in our lifetime. When we enter into this thing called life, and then we spend so much time doing the same things that everyone else is doing, right? We go to school, we get a job, we find relationship and connection through people, through living in houses and work. But what about your unique purpose? The reason that you came here, because that's a very particular reason. I mean, it's unique as your thumbprints and your DNA. That is not like everybody else. So the day that you understand and discover why you're here, that is definitely one of the most important days of your life. And finally, let's talk about these 3 powerful questions to ask yourself, which questions are important during self-talk. And one thing that I learned and I like to teach or talk about a lot is that you got to ask really good questions. There's questions and then there's really, really good questions, right? Sometimes there's great questions. And I think one thing that's important, because this is a question that anyone and everyone probably asks themselves one time or another, is why am I here? Why am I here doing this thing called life? Now, that's an okay question, but that question could be so much better. And Tyler broke that down into 3 different prompts. Here's the first one. Who am I called to serve? I mean, the fact that Tyler touched on what service does to the brain. This is not even just theoretical, y'all. This is the way that we're designed as humans. We are made and designed to serve others. That is something that is very fulfilling to us in one way or another, whether that's your family, whether that's your friends, whether that's in your work. We're meant to fulfill others' desires, and ultimately that leads us to being fulfilled as well. So who are we meant to serve? Really understanding your communities, what groups you're working with and in, or the ones that you want to work with and in, are really important to answer this question. Then, what problems am I called to solve? Also a really great question to ask yourself. I mean, that's life, right? Problems and the solutions. And what's nice about that is usually there's some monetary reward and incentive when it comes to solving problems. So what problem is it that you're here to solve? What are you passionate about? What ignites your fire when you think about it, or conversations that you like to have? No judgment. It's whatever you feel inside that brings you internal joy or drive when you're just thinking or speaking about it. And the final prompt is, how am I called to serve this problem? And I really liked Tyler's responses to his purpose statement, which we're going to get into next. But really thinking about what your skill sets and what your talents are is a really great way to answer this question. Don't overthink it. Just jot down a couple of ways that you think that you're able to solve this problem. And truly and surely, do not miss communication. Sometimes just an exchange of communication and conversation, just like the dialogue we're having right now, is solving a problem, believe it or not. And then finally, this gem I really appreciated because I've actually been looking for something like this because I've been working on my elevator pitch. How about you? Do you have yours in place? What is your purpose statement? I love the one that Tyler shared here. In your purpose statement, you want to uncover the who, the problem, and the solution. I or we help Name the person, the group, or communities, business owners, students, parent, teachers, with this particular problem through this particular solution. And I'm so excited to fill mine in. Whatever yours is, I would love for you to drop it down in the comment below. Let's share with the group. I would love to learn who the community is and what your purpose is. Why are you here? Believe it or not, one of us may need to connect and network. So that's it. I'm gonna leave us with that. That was super powerful. I loved all of the takeaways and all of the information that was shared by Tyler today. I would love to hear yours. Don't forget to drop those gems in the comment. And also don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, more importantly, and hit that notification bell if you would like for me to continue to upload this type of content. I'd love to share more, and I'll see you next time, tribe. Peace.